This is part two in basically talking about some of the problems or some of the issues related to the family today. And one of the other issues that we haven't mentioned before is absentee fathers, fathers who simply are not there. And research recently indicated that 46% of fathers between the ages of 15 and 44 had children outside of marriage. So either they were not married at all or they were married to one person and had children by someone else. So there's a difference in terms of race and ethnicity in that regard too. In that study, black fathers 72%, Hispanics 59, whites 37. But that's an issue. And they've also found that the education of the father makes a difference. The higher the education, the more involved that the father is going to be. Bachelor's degree, only 13% had kids outside of marriage, whereas with a high school diploma, 51%, and those without a high school diploma, 65%. So, we talk about the importance of the father and being around the children and so forth, but in a lot of homes, that's just not the case. So much so that a person I respect a lot, former Indianapolis Colts coach, Tony Dungy. Tony Dungy actually started up a program a few years ago called All Pro Dad, trying to specifically get more fathers involved with their children. And what they've found over the years is 27% of dads actually live away from their kids, and the same percentage have not even seen a child in over a year. So obviously, we need programs like All Pro Dad and others to try and get fathers actively involved with their children. Now, on the good side of things, in terms of the role of fatherhood, dads today, American dads today, spend more time at home with their children per week than they really ever have since back in the agricultural days, back when the family was on the farm and so on. But at least in the 1900, from 1900 on, dads are home more often, more hours a week with their kids than they have been for many, many years. Now, are they equal to mom in terms of hours? No, not even close. But at least it's a huge upgrade compared to what it used to be. One other issue that we'll talk about in terms of the family, and that is domestic violence. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out kids and women are most at risk on this. And the thing I want you to definitely understand is this goes all across all socioeconomic groups. It doesn't matter rich, poor, middle class, working class, it does not matter. Domestic violence covers them all. And the thing to remember, and please make sure, people you talk to, if you know anybody in this kind of a situation, let them know this as well. But domestic violence tends to escalate over time. It might start as something relatively minor, but obviously you can't say it always does, but it typically escalates. Kind of interesting study from the mid 70s up through 2004, 11% of all murders were actually intimate partner violence, and 75% of murder victims of domestic violence are women. Okay, so the huge majority of, in terms of domestic violence, the huge majority of the victims are women, and I believe it's somewhere around 30% here it is, a third of all female murder victims were intimate context. So, domestic violence is obviously another major issue in the family today.